From a format that rewards mediocrity to a travel schedule that destroys competitive integrity and ticket prices that treat fans like ATMs, the evidence is overwhelming. This isn't just pessimism, this is a forensic reality. The 2026 World Cup is broken, and the first ball hasn't even been kicked yet. Please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the truth about the beautiful game. We have to start with the structure itself. The fundamental architecture of the World Cup has been vandalized. For decades, the 32-team format was perfect. It gave us 8 symmetrical groups. It was ruthless. Every game mattered. But FIFA, driven by a desire for broadcast revenue and quantity over quality, has bloated the field to 48 teams. That is a 50% increase. This creates the mathematics of mediocrity. In the old system, you usually needed 4 points to survive the group stage. Now with 12 groups of 4, the top 2 teams advance, but so do the 8 best third-place teams. Under this new system, a team can likely scrape through with 3 points, or even 2 points if they have a decent goal difference. This destroys the tension. It incentivizes tournament management, which is a polite way of saying teams will play for 0-0 draws. The group stage, which used to be a crucible of elimination, is turning into a month-long exhibition where 66% of the participants survive. But it gets worse. The return of the best third-place rule brings back the risk of collusion. FIFA abandoned this format after 1994 for a reason. Because groups do not finish at the same time, teams playing later in the schedule will know exactly what result they need to advance. If a team in Group L knows that a 1-1 draw gets both them and their opponent into the next round, at the expense of a team from Group B, the incentive to manufacture that result is overwhelming. The integrity of the knockout bracket will be decided by the luck of the scheduling draw, not just on-field performance. Then there is the travel. This is where the united bid truly falls apart. This is the first World Cup hosted across a continental landmass, spanning 3 nations and 4 time zones. The distance between Vancouver and Miami is over 3,300 miles. FIFA claimed they would solve this with regional clusters, keeping teams in the West, Central or East zones. But the finalized schedule proves that was a lie. The disparity is shocking. Let's look at the data. If a team is lucky enough to get drawn into Group 1, they stay in the Northeast Corridor. They travel between Philadelphia, Toronto and Boston. Their total travel distance is around 1,100 miles. They can take short flights or even trains. They stay in the same time zone. Now compare that to the nightmare of Group J. A team in this group could be bouncing between San Francisco, Kansas City and Vancouver. Their estimated travel load is over 6,400 miles. They are crossing time zones and dealing with massive climate shifts, going from the foggy West Coast to the humid Midwest Plains. In a tournament of fine margins, forcing one group of teams to travel 6 times further than another is sporting malpractice. The concept of a base camp, a stable home where players sleep in the same bed and control their environment, is dead. Teams will be living on planes and in hotels. Sleep scientists have already warned that the jet lag and travel fatigue will impair reaction times. The bracket might be decided by who has the better travel agent rather than the better striker. The infrastructure itself is another scandal waiting to happen. FIFA demands natural grass, but many of the massive NFL stadiums in the US, like SoFi in Los Angeles or Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, use artificial turf. The solution? They are going to install temporary natural grass overlays. This is often done using a tray system, where grass is grown off-site and laid down over the concrete or synthetic surface. It is a disaster. Because the grass cannot root deeply, the surface shifts. It creates seams. The ball bounces erratically. It is a nightmare for soft tissue injuries. We saw a preview of this at the 2025 Club World Cup, which was the test event for 2026. It was a failure. Real Madrid star Jude Bellingham openly criticised the pitches, saying the ball barely bounced and the surface was tough on the knees. At MetLife Stadium, reports indicated the grass was laid just 5 days before kickoff. You cannot fake a deep soil European pitch with a carpet of grass laid over concrete. It gets more absurd at SoFi Stadium. This is the most expensive sports venue on Earth, costing $5 billion. Yet the field is too narrow for a FIFA regulation pitch. To host the World Cup, they literally have to demolish the lower-level seating suites in the corners to widen the field. They are ripping up a brand new stadium because of a lack of foresight. This width issue is why the final was moved to New Jersey, but even MetLife is having to remove over 1,700 seats to meet the requirements. Then you have the indoor problem. Stadiums in Dallas, Houston, and Atlanta have roofs. Grass needs sun. FIFA's own expert admitted that Mother Nature can't get in. They have to use massive artificial grow lights to keep the grass on life support. By the time the knockout rounds arrive, after weeks of high-intensity play, those temporary indoor pitches are going to be shredded. Now let's talk about the heat. The tournament is in June and July. Since the 1994 World Cup, global temperatures have risen. We are seeing more heat domes. But here is the conflict. European television money rules football. To get prime-time viewers in Europe, FIFA wants kickoffs in the early afternoon, US time, around 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. 1 p.m. is solar noon. It is the hottest part of the day. In cities like Kansas City, Dallas, or Miami, midday temperatures can routinely exceed 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Playing elite football in those conditions is dangerous. It leads to cognitive decline and heat stroke. FIFA's solution is hydration breaks. Let's be cynical for a moment. Those are just commercial ad breaks disguised as safety measures. Experts argue these breaks are not enough for the projected temperatures. And remember, the final is at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. It is an open-air bowl. If there is a heat wave in July, the biggest game in the world will be played in a pizza oven just to satisfy TV contracts. If the heat doesn't alienate you, the price tag will. FIFA has introduced dynamic pricing for the World Cup. This is essentially surge pricing. The face value of tickets fluctuates based on demand. The average group stage ticket is expected to hover around $305. But for the final, you are looking at tickets ranging from $2,700 to over $4,200 for upper deck seats. This pricing structure gentrifies the sport. The working-class fans who create the atmosphere, the drums, the chants, the passion, are being priced out. They are being replaced by corporate clients and wealthy tourists. We saw this at the 2025 Club World Cup, where stadiums sat half empty for matches involving non-European teams because the locals couldn't afford the entry fee. And it's not just the tickets. Hotels in host cities are already showing signs of massive price gouging. In Vancouver, matchday prices are hitting an average of $1,455 per night. In Guadalajara, prices have surged by 385%. Unlike Qatar, which regulated hotel prices, the North American market is the Wild West. If you aren't in the top 1% of global earners, you aren't going to this World Cup. For international fans, specifically those from the Global South, the barriers are even higher. The US has introduced a visa integrity fee of $250. This applies to applicants from countries not in the visa waiver program. That includes almost all of Africa, South America, and Asia. When you add the base visa fee of $185, a fan from Nigeria, Brazil, or India has to pay nearly $450 just to apply for permission to enter the country. That fee is non-refundable even if they say no. It creates a two-tiered World Cup, one for the wealthy nations who walk right in, and another for the rest of the world who are taxed heavily for the privilege. Finally, we have to address the hypocrisy. FIFA claims this will be a green tournament. That is a lie. Independent analysis estimates this World Cup will generate over 9 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. That is the highest carbon footprint in the history of the sport. This is driven by the continental sprawl, millions of fans and teams flying thousands of miles between matches. And while the planet burns, FIFA has signed a sponsorship deal with Aramco, the Saudi state-owned oil company. Climate watchdogs call it greenwashing. It is a jarring image, matches pausing for hydration breaks because of extreme heat caused by fossil fuels, while the advertising boards promote a fossil fuel giant. To recap, we are looking at a tournament defined by greed, a 48-team format that dilutes quality, a travel schedule that unfairly handicaps certain groups, temporary grass pitches that players hate, dangerous heat levels for TV ratings, ticket prices that exclude real fans, and a visa policy that shuts out the global south. The 2025 Club World Cup was supposed to be a test, but it ended up being a warning siren. Empty seats, bad turf, player protests. FIFA ignored all of it. They are doubling down on a model that prioritizes revenue extraction over sporting merit. The 2026 World Cup might be the biggest ever, but it is shaping up to be a monument to excess that collapses under its own weight. I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these failures is the biggest deal breaker for you? The diluted 48-team format, the risk of playing on temporary grass trays, or the insane ticket prices? Let me know what you think.